you know.
Yeah, but you have a little bit of a different story, right? I mean, your mom wasn't in real estate.
My dad was.
Okay. So when did you start?
When did I start real estate? I started real estate 4 years ago, something like that.
And what did you do before?
I was a stay-at-home mom, and then before that, I was a home health care. I worked in home health care, taking hospice, taking care of people dying and stuff like that.
I would imagine you'd be very good at that. You have a huge heart.
Yeah, it was fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
So what prompted your move into real estate?
Well, a friend, Nicole, was like, I want to open my own real estate business. I want you to join. And I was like, I know nothing about it, but I love houses. So, and I thought, well, what better way to do it than, you know, be able to create your own hours, and thinking I'd still have more flexibility with my kids, and that's not the case at all.
Right.
So, yeah, you don't really get to pick your hours in any job, I guess. So you work when you can.
Yeah, and you've built a really successful business. So somehow you made that transition from I'm just going to do something kind of on the fly to I'm running a business.
Right.
And you do juggle a lot. I mean, you've got your business, that you've got family, you've got your interest with your mom, the Hoover House Rescue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know, you know, I've worked regular office jobs almost all my life, and I don't know any other career that allows you to make the kind of money that you can make and have some of the flexibility to do what you're doing. Right. But I think one of the things that makes you really successful at doing that is that you have a certain discipline and a servant's heart. So when, like you said, you can't really set your hours, but there's something in you that says when somebody is ready to do something, I have to be available.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I remember the one meeting I was able to join on with Maureen and friends. One of the things that she said in there is that her kids hate going to the store with her now, because if she goes to the store for like one thing, she spends like hours there talking to people. And I totally agree with that, because I'm friends on Facebook with all my local you know, because you have your little community, your certain stores that you go into, and I'm friends with all my local Walgreens helpers.
Yes.
You know, and
yeah. And that's what I just came from a meeting, and the question was, how do I grow my business? And I think that's one of the things that is really interesting to watch. Someone who does it at a really high level almost doesn't realize they're doing it. So it's really hard to say, hey, what do you do differently? Because you don't really know. You're just swimming in that environment. But what you just said, I don't know my local Walgreens people, because I go in and out and I'm done, right? And it's like a natural setting for me to start talking, you know? So it's finding those places where you feel comfortable kind of.
Well, even if you don't feel comfortable, find something that you feel comfortable talking about. You know, like, who doesn't feel comfortable about talking about houses? Everybody wants to be their own flipper, or, you know, so I volunteer at Hoover's House. So I market myself there. And when we switched buildings to the one in Delafield, I had to call We Energies to switch all our stuff over. And she ended up buying a house from me. Like, I just started talking to her, and I think we were on the phone for 2.5 hours, and I helped her and her husband buy a house. She was nervous about getting pre-approved in that process. And
so that's a magic, I think, that you bring, Jen, that, like, so how do you change a conversation from I'm calling for a technical, like, hey, help me change this over, to I'm going to become a real choice?
I don't know. And I was thinking about that today. What do I say? I mean, we're all women. I was at my gyno appointment, and I've been having like a bunch of abdominal issues, and I had to go in to have an ultrasound done. And, you know, they take that big wand and whoop. And so we started talking, And I ended up selling her. I sold her house, and she was bought from me, and we just like started talking, and she, you know, like, what do you do for a living? Well, I sell real estate, you know, the market's really great, you know, and like water. And she's still a really good friend of mine now. We still talk, and we still like
Right.
communicate, and
Right.
you know,
So you take that, you are just like, I want to say you're a natural connector, which I think you are, but I think the piece that is valuable in a conversation like this, when people are kind of tuning in and want to know, like, how is it that you've achieved what you've achieved? And you said it, sometimes you have to do that, which is uncomfortable. So I think
right,
maybe when you started, some of those were supernatural and they just happened, right?
right,
As you grow your business, you know that you need to be intentional about some of those conversations. You know, it's like you found where you were very naturally gifted.
right,
Now you're pouring into that in a way that is intentional. So you're doubling down on what's comfortable for you, and it's yielding business, and it's yielding very authentic and repeatable business, you
right.
know. So
Well, and I think in the society that we live in, there's no personal touches anymore. Like, you have all this technology, you have all this stuff. But the one thing that people, I'm not saying I'm old, but they like to touch things. They like to feel things. They like to have that connection with somebody, and finding what sparks their interest or something. Because everybody has their thing that they love to do. Like, and try to make a personal connection or a touch, or like, I think is really important, you know.
Mhm.
I
So
found this. So when we were talking about listing presentations.
yeah.
So I've actually put a binder together. This is an old one from when I worked at the real estate center, but I put a binder together, and it goes through like all stuff on what we need to, like, how we market, you know, everything like that, and giving people a lot of information, and let them see that I've done my research, I know what I'm talking about, and then they have something to touch and feel. It's not on a
Right.
screen. It's not,
Right.
you know.
You leave behind that you're actually, so your presence lives even after you're not
Right,
there anymore.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So I think having that personal touch, having that, you know, is really important. And don't focus on the things you're not good at. Like, people always
right.
think, well, I need to work on this. Why? There's somebody else out there that's really good at that. Pay them to do it, and focus on the things that you're really good at.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So you are really good at finding that one thing. I mean, I think, so you started with us
Hey.
May, right? Over a year ago. And within, I don't know, a month or two, you had connections. You had connections in the market center. You knew what people were about, and you knew what they were like, and you know, you naturally, if you were to think about that, how do you find those places where people are what they love? You know, you just said you got to find what people love and kind of double down on that. How do you find that?
Because I think trying to find things that people love is listening. You need to listen, because people love to talk. When people get started talking, they'll talk. Just, we struggle with listening and hearing people, and, you know, showing compassion and love, and I'm really sorry, you know, how can I help you? You know, I think the world lacks that.
Yeah, we're all super busy. We want to get
Right.
well,
We want the instant gratification, and it doesn't work that way. My first $1 million deal I worked with them for 3 years.
Did you know it was going to turn into a deal? Were you very conscious, like, if I just stick with this, I will get something out of it? Is it just like, I love these people, I'm spending time with them?
No. Yeah. No, I never in my wildest dreams thought I was going to be selling $1 million home, because that, in my mind, you think that takes years to be able to handle and conquer, and you know, no. I honestly, I wanted to give up.
Okay.
I really wanted to give up because I'm like, I am taking time away from my family. I'm taking time away from all my loved ones. And I did write 2 offers for them in the process of it. But I stuck with them for 3 years.
Yeah.
Summers, showing them houses. And
Yeah. And that's recently, didn't it?
yeah, we closed on that in February.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. But yeah. You know, I work my leads. I mean, oh my gosh. Like, I call people that I had a touch with years ago, and I still follow up with them. Hey, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do?
That. Yeah, because we've been talking about that a lot, right? Care calls. What do you do when everything is shut down, or people are scared, or there's unrest, or whatnot? And I think that there are a lot of people who kind of shy away from that conversation. So talk a little bit about that. How do you pick up the phone? And maybe there's been somebody that you haven't talked to for a couple of years. How do you crack open that conversation with them?
I usually I keep notes because I don't remember everything about everybody. But there was a lady that I've been talking to for the last 2 years. She didn't want to buy a house that summer. You know, hey, wanted to check in. How's your daughter's marriage going? Or how, you know, how is just keeping notes on what you guys talked about. What, you know, hey, check in on this, you know, on this date, or, you know, setting reminders in my calendar. You know, things like that is something that I do. Just so they're like, hey, she must really care about me, which let's be honest, I do care. But, you know, making, you know, that connection with somebody, you know, not saying, oh, I don't remember anything that we talked about. No, what you told me was important, and I want them to feel that they are important.
For sure. You know?
So
you've talked about how you have something tangible and how you have conversations and touch points. Do you have like a system of follow-up, like every month you send a postcard, or what?
I'm not good at postcards or mailings, and that's why I'm looking at hiring somebody to help me with that. Because let's be honest, you know, I'm not good at that. So I'm not going to focus my energy on that. What I'm good at is being out in this world, making that personal connection, talking to people. And that's where I generate a lot of my business from. I volunteer at the rescue. I have 3 deals going on right now with people coming in and fostering dogs that, you know, oh, what do you do for, you know, people ask me, well, what do you do? I said, well, I just volunteer here. What I really do is I sell real estate, and, oh, I know somebody, or I have something, or everybody has some kind of connection where they want to talk about real estate, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen overnight. I've been volunteering at the rescue for a long time, but I've developed those relationships and those personal touches where they're going to trust me with their loved ones, or, you know, their referrals and stuff like that. That's something that you have to earn.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. Jen, you have so much information that you're sharing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So you guys who have just recently joined, one of the things that we started when we started this conversation is that, you know, kind of everybody says the same thing, but what I'm hearing from you, Jen, is that you are you're dialed into what you do well, and you're very comfortable leveraging the rest of it and being smart about your time and managing your relationships. And that's actually right along the lines of what we talk about in terms of how to build a big business, because you're one person, you have finite time. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. So how do you make the best use of it? And and Jen is a capper as a single agent. So she doesn't have a team that is doing things for her. However, you've really
I have Renee. Renee. Renee is amazing. So
you've keyed into different resources to help you leverage what you're doing. And Renee is, I mean, she's a team member for you because she's a transaction coordinator that you can use her services with, but she's not somebody that you have to, manage and pay, and you have to pay her, right? But it's not that on your team and you have to do all of the managerial stuff that is sometimes challenging as a real estate agent. So I think one of the pieces that I'm hearing too from you is that there's a way to build a really big business that lets you have the support of a team-like structure that helps you get out there in ways that help you more.
I think it's really, so I don't know. So I have these group of girls that we have our weekly meetings with. And it's just, and they're all different. It's from Keller Williams. And I think it started off with like Hildy, me, and Katie, and Alicia, and it has grown so much. We have, I think Lane joins us now. Mike Schaefer talks about it, but he's so busy. And then we have our preferred lender that joins in. And I think, we're not alone in this, Find your group of people, bounce ideas off of. I can't tell you how many times I've called somebody and being, hey, I need another set of eyes, or can you overlook this contract for me? I mean, hey, what are things that we can do to market, this time right now, coming together and, I think is really important too, having your own support,
Yeah. So that thread of relationship is not only in how you lead generate, but it's how you build your network of colleagues, right?
Right.
And I think one of the things that I hear is that, real estate is a very independent business. You're either a team model or you're independent and you're not going to get involved with anything. But one of the things that you've done really successfully is build this hybrid of, I have, because teams are challenging, there's a model, a way, and there's a lot of work that goes into navigating that might take away from your business, might make a great sense down the road. But what do you do in between time, right? What do you do? And if that's not of interest to you, how do you then build a group of colleagues that you can walk through this career with?
Right. And I think it's important too, because you listen to other people's viewpoints, and I mean, you can read as many books as you want. You can take as many classes as you want to build your business, but you're not going to meet people, and you're not going to fine-tune things sitting at a desk, focusing right here. You should have, and that's why I'm looking at finding somebody to help me focus at this stuff so I can be out there. And
for sure. For sure.
My crew.
Love it. It's part of what your heart is all about. That's so great.
Oh my word, yeah. So
So you guys, part of this format is to be able to ask questions or, kind of what's on your mind. And I do see some guests here and some new people who are getting started in their career too. Does anybody have any questions for Jen as she gives her time here today to share her journey with us?
Don't all jump in at once.
I love it when I put them on the spot. You're here for a reason. Let's ask your question. That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry I came in late. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
And you may have started off with this as your opener, but how long have you been doing it, and how long did it take you to cap for your first time?
Wow. Okay. So I joined Keller Williams about it'll be a year. It was a year in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, and wait, let me just say really quick, when she sat down with us, she said, I'm not really focusing on my real estate business this year because I've got
well, okay, so to give you kind of like a background of me, I got my real estate license because a friend of mine was like, hey, I want to start a business. I'm like, okay, I'll support you, you know. And my first year, I did $6 million worth of sales. And I wish I would have had my $6 million worth of sales at Keller Williams, but, you know, so I guess, so I've been doing real estate. This is like my 4th or 5th year. I think something like that. I guess, what was the other question? I'm sorry. How long have I been?
How long it took you to cap, or when was your first year? So that would be this year, right?
Right. Well,
your first year in business, had you been here with us, that's the kind of.
I would have capped, and I left a lot of money on the table that I wasn't collecting. So, but yeah, and I didn't. I'm going through a divorce. My dad moved in with me and was having a lot of health problems. You know, I moved, and we all know moving just sucks. It like takes us, you know, I'm selling my house on top of it. And I just told Diane, I'm like, I can't focus on real estate right now. I didn't market myself. I wasn't putting myself out there. I just kind of was more reserved and kept. Because.
So then how did that happen if you were just reserved and just capped?
I volunteer. So I didn't, let's say I had my clients that I worked with and I focused on them. I wasn't focusing on building my business, if that makes sense. So I think there's 2 different levels. There's ones where you're focused on your clients and how can you build your business? Because let's be honest, real estate is like a wave, and what you want to do is try to find the plateau. So while you have all these active buyers and sellers and all this, you still got to remember to focus on these people, because those are the people that are, you know, going to be moving forward. So trying to find that plateau is really important.
And we had a lot of conversation, Jackie, actually, before you were able to jump on, about Jennifer's superpower is relationships. And a lot of the, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, dialing the database and making sure you're doing those connections. And for some of us, that feels like cold calling, or that feels uncomfortable. And
I've never cold called in my life.
Yeah. And yet
I don't plan on it.
Right. And yet
I love hearing that.
At Walgreens, and you talk with them. I mean,
oh yeah. So yeah.
Relationships with all of those people, though.
Right. So like when I go to the grocery store, one of the things that Maureen was talking about in one of her first meetings is that her kids hate going to the grocery store with her because she talks to everybody. And I literally do that. I talk to everybody. I'm Facebook friends with my local Walgreens team, you know, and like I volunteer at an animal rescue. So I do, you know, put myself out there. I was telling them how I had to call We Energies and switch our electric company over to the new building. And I sat on the phone with her for 2.5 hours, and I sold her and her husband a house. I was at the gynecology appointment and with the wand up my yuha, and I ended up selling her house and helping her build her dream home. I mean, so like, it's just finding that connection with people, no matter anywhere you go, anywhere. Right. Because somebody knows somebody that has that connection.
So to me, one of the things that you do, Jen, is switch that cold calling to, I am starting a relationship with you. And it's something, you know, and it's face to face. But I always feel like, to me, it's easier to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm this person from this, let's meet each other.
What is that going to do? Because that's not making that personal touch. And I think that is most important.
And that's what I think that you do really well, is that you invest the time and energy and interest in people in such a way that they become your clients, and they trust you. They trust you.
I don't look at it as my clients. I look at them as new friends. Like, and that's another thing. Like,
say that again? What?
I don't look at them as my clients. I look at them as my new friends. So, like, all the people that I've sold houses to, I still keep in touch with them.
Right.
Like, hey, how are you doing? Like, even my first clients ever that I've ever had, You know,
Right.
I send them Christmas cards. I send,
Right.
I still make that personal touch with even those.
So you guys, this is what it is. This is all about staying in touch with those people. And it's not, I mean, a lot of times we think about that and we use that language of clients and keeping in touch with you because you're going to sell your home again in 7 years. So you're my client and I have to keep that client touch program up. And what Jen does so naturally is that this is my sphere of people and their responsibility, and I'm going to love on them. And when they're ready to do business, I'm top of mind. So
Right.
it's the same activity, but it comes from a very different spirit that inhabits that. You're not just, oh, I have to drip on these people. Nope, you actually care and are reaching out to them, and it shows.
And I keep notes on them because let's be honest, who can remember every little detail about everybody else?
Right.
But,
Right.
So I keep notes like on people, and like I
Right.
have it's kind of behind right now, but I have a database that I like.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to them, I take a little note on something that's going on with them.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump in here. Tiff asked something via the chat that says, without a team, how did you train shadow scripts and role play?
I really don't. I don't do any of that. I don't know if you were on here prior to that. What I do is I find something that makes somebody spark, because I guarantee you there's something that you love to talk about, and I listen. And then they'll start talking and talking, and it could take forever, and then they'll ask me what I like and what I love doing, and that's how I build these relationships.
Yeah.
It sounds like the Ford conversation, the family,
Yes.
occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think you guys, this again is Jen doing something really naturally that if you are not naturally good at, there are structures to key into that you have these results. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Lindsay. It's that family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And you invest yourself in those conversations with all the people around you. And all of a sudden, you've got an expanded sphere of people who are interested in doing business with you.
And, let's be honest, there's parts of real estate that I hate, that I am not good at. And I'm okay with that because I know that there's somebody out there that's better than me at it. And I will hire them to do the stuff that I am not good at. And I can focus on the things that I am good at. And I think a lot of people forget that. They're like, well, I need to do this, I need to do this. Why? Focus on what you're good at and thrive at that, and people will see that.
Yeah, for sure. So if anyone's familiar with the disc profile, Jen is a high I.
I am. I'm a very big I.
Yep, she loves to be with people. When she comes into the market center here,
I don't work.
Hear her. Jen's working is talking to people and finding out what's going on in your life, and she just talks to the people around her and takes that then and you are
That's
either
true.
a colleague of hers or you're a client of hers, whatever. And I think Jen, from the time that I've gotten to know you, those people all form they're all part of your family, and
Right.
And you're going to serve them however you can.
Right.
That's what I think is a good part of your success. You're not focusing on real estate.
And people always ask, well, how do you get leads? All right. So we have our sphere that people talk about, working our sphere. I spend about $1,000 a month on Zillow, which I'm probably going to give up right now because all my deals, not one came from Zillow. It was my sphere.
Always.
People are always like, well, if I had more leads, you have this, go on Facebook, go on, I don't even know Instagram or Snapchat. I don't even know how to do any of that stuff. Have those personal connections. I go on Facebook all the time and I'm always commenting on people's posts. I do care, I do, but I'm also getting my name out there.
You do care and you're present. And like, to me, you kind of live the fortunes in the follow-up. Like you
Right.
never have one conversation. You, like you said, you're very intentional. You keep notes, you know who you're going to run in. You're ready if you run into somebody.
Oh, I have business cards everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I keep
And
them in my pocket. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Nice.
think a lot of real estates lack the follow through, the follow up, because they want that instant gratification. And it just unfortunately isn't there. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
I mean, once in a while they come and it's nice, but
It
you
tends
know,
to come because you've been in relationship with other people though, and they've
Right.
referred you, I think.
right.
So I love it.
Yeah.
Jen, super generous with your time and information and experience. And does anyone else have any questions for Jen?
I just noticed we have our chat.
You did get a brilliant. You are brilliant.
I did get a brilliant.
I love it. And you are. You are.
I try. But feel free to call. People can call me anytime. I love helping people, and
Legitimately. She really.
legitimately, I really do. Like
Yeah.
if you have ideas you want to bounce off somebody and you feel like they're stupid or don't, I love hearing them.
Awesome.
Tiffany, feel free to call me. Feel free. I think if you guys want my number, it's 262-893-2421. Feel free to call me anytime.
Super example of how she builds relationships. So I love it.
Yeah.
Jen, thank you so much for giving to us today all your story and what you do. And I wish you a great
Thank you.
rest of your day and a birthday soon. So super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
21 all over again.
All over again. Would that we are all.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Jen.
All right. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.